Hey there, and welcome to Hot Seat. And we are here to explore the reasons of why. What's the why? What's the purpose? What drives business owners to do what they do? If that's what you're looking for, to get motivated, well, we look forward to sharing this episode with you. I'm your host, Kelvin Holiday, and I am enjoying the fact that we can explore people's why and motivate others. So stay tuned for this exciting new episode. 15 minutes, fast-paced. Let's do it. Well, welcome again, folks, to another Hot Seat. And here we are with Athin. He is an amazing guy. I don't know about you, but having a business coach is one of those things that I think is just absolutely critical to your business. And knowing somebody and liking somebody is one thing, but having somebody you can trust with your business is can be a challenge. And this is a guy I know you can trust. I've seen him all over the place. We've known each other for a while. I actually had an opportunity to be on his podcast some time ago. So, Athin, come on into the hot seat, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Awesome to be here, Kel.
Mate, it is great to have you here. And yeah, likewise, mate. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity when I jumped over on your podcast some time ago and got to know you. And it's been an awesome little journey. Been stalking you a bit on Facebook, but I think what our listeners really want to know is who is Athin? What makes you tick, family wise, where you live? I know you've just been traveling, so tell us a little bit of your story.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll start a little bit from the beginning and then where I am currently to give a bit of context. So I grew up in Adelaide, South Australia, which is a smaller capital city in Australia, and parents are high school teachers, so sort of was made to study growing up. And I started my entrepreneurial journey in year 10. I was about 15, selling VCD movies. So the younger people probably don't even know what CDs are, but these are movies on 2 CDs. And when CD burners first came out, and I was selling them for $10 each. So that was where it started. And then in my final year 12, I wasn't enjoying it anymore, and I dropped out of school. And it was challenging because my parents high school teachers, right? So you can imagine how they were. My dad told me that I'll never be able to study. He had 3 degrees, right? That's what he told me. One of my teachers told me you'll never be successful. Imagine telling this to a 18-year-old kid, right? Which is challenging. So, but then, my dad just said, you got to get a job. So I got a job and, just at a big environmental company by chance, worked my way up, and then they headhunted me from the head office. So I moved to Sydney. I've been here for over 12 years now in Sydney, and did a lot of great stuff there. And then wanted to learn more about business. And there was all these conversations that you have, Friday drinks and things like that. Everyone's got these degrees and all these things, and I had nothing. I'd worked my way up and realized that I can get into doing an MBA, a Master of Business Administration at university, just on over having 8 years experience working. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I went and did that, went through, a lot of the core subjects, and then wasn't really enjoying it anymore and thought, nah, that's it. And I left my job. I did the really bad thing that I think I wouldn't recommend to anybody, but I burnt the boats. You might have heard the story about burning boats. I quit my job and started my business the next day with no traction, no nothing, right? So that was putting myself in the deep end a lot. And then I had to, and then, the big thing that happened to me was I went to with a business coach at a 3-day event, upgraded my mindset, learned some skills, and then I got like Westfield as my first big client, and my business started to get some traction, from there, from business coaching, as you were saying, right, from other people. So, and then from there, I've worked with a lot of Australia's biggest brands, like, Westfield, Kmart, and Target Defense. And then from there, people would ask me questions when I went to networking events and say, Athin, what do you think about these business problems of mine? And I said, why don't you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And they're like, that's really good. Can you say that again? I need to write that down. And this happened multiple times. So I realized I've got a very good strategic brain and a very good memory to connect dots and see patterns. So that's why I started business coaching mentoring alongside my first business that I've been doing for over 4.5 years now, and really helping business owners grow and scale to create, wealth and freedom. And I guess the real deeper thing, obviously I am in Sydney. I've got my wife here, even though most of our family's in Adelaide. But family is a key thing for me, but also I think really helping other people. And I think upgrading people's mindsets and really evolving the consciousness of people, right? And having a lot more awareness and growth in their lives, whether that's from a mindset as well as a a business perspective is really, what I'm here to do and what I really love, where I can create breakthroughs for people and, a lot of time through business, but even just generally at the same time. So that's a little quick version of me.
Mate, sounds like a very interesting journey. A very interesting journey. So Adelaide moved north, get into the big smoke of Sydney and go on for it. Multiple businesses, what a wealth of experience. I guess my next question would be, so when you're talking about these experiences, these people are coming to you with these questions. You said something there that your mind is very strategic, all right? And as a business coach, I've been in that space myself. Quite often, people are not that strategic in their thinking. They get a gut feel, but they don't really know how to put the pieces together. And so, creating a plan is a really important part. But when you're with people, all right, and they're coming to you a bit stressed, what are you finding in the world, particularly at the moment, as some of the challenges that people are facing in that strategic part, the part that's missing the most within most people these days?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this is really a key thing of success, right? In business generally, strategic thinking. So the way I'll explain it simply is like chess, right? A lot of people know what chess is. Hopefully, maybe played it, but have watched it, or maybe watched the Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which I recommend, the great series. So chess, a good chess player thinks many moves ahead. A great chess player thinks like 15 moves ahead. So they know, if this happens, then this is the potential to happen, and then I will do this. This is really the key to strategic thinking, because you don't just want to just go, I'm going to make this decision and I'll just work it out later. Because especially, I'll give you an example. If you're going to have a meeting with someone, or a sales conversation, or a presentation, going, well, if they say this, so if they say that, like, think about what they could potentially do, whether it's potential objections, whether it's, if they like it or not. What are you going to do in that moment to then, get the outcome that you want, right, in that situation? Or it could be protecting risk. If you do something in your business, there may be some risks there that you think about, going, well, okay, I want to make sure that this could happen, so I don't, hurt myself somewhere down the line by making this decision. So really thinking many moves ahead. And I think this is where a lot of people, like you were saying, could be stressed, right? Because they do something and they're like, oh, it didn't work or anything like that. Well, are you thinking many moves ahead? And this is sort of, you have to train yourself, and this is where business coaches, mentors, obviously external people can help us to do this. But I think really practice it. And I'll give an example just very quickly of a previous client of mine, right? Had a successful multiple seven-figure business. Went from, starting with me, there was a lot of toxic people systems issue. We rebuilt the foundation. She got pregnant near the start of us, had the baby, went back to work. All these things happened, right? And we really created a really strong foundation to really grow. And then she goes, I want to try out another coach. I want someone a bit more specific to my industry. And I said, okay. We've really created a really good foundation here. You're ready for growth. And I said, but it's up to you. She gave me a good testimonial and everything. And then 3 months later, she calls me and she said, Athin, I didn't realize how powerful your strategic thinking was, about how you used to tell me about all these things that were going to happen. We now have to shut down the business, go into liquidation 3 months later, because the business coach was just telling us what to do without telling us what could potentially happen in the future. And now we have to shut the business down. And I want to highlight this, right, about how important, if you're not making the right decisions, you could literally kill your business if you're not thinking many moves ahead. And she only realizes it now, right? And, she's building it up back and wanting, to work back with me again now as well. So be aware that it is a powerful skill, and you can work it out yourself. Just think about noting it down, going, what's the next step from here? And then go, okay, if this happens, what is it? And write it down, right? Eventually you can do it in your mind, and then, make it happen. That would be my little tips. Obviously, from a stress perspective that you mentioned, a lot of people can replay things in their mind, which, it's like that emotion. Like, let's say anger, I'll use the example, oh, this person, he ticked me off, and then you're angry for like 4 hours. Well, I learned that an emotion technically only happens for 90 to 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes max that an emotion happens. Then the rest of it is just us replaying it. So what happens is we replay these things, and it gets us into more stress and builds it up over time. So this is where you just need to take those breaths, go away from the situation, whatever it is that's creating the stress, take some deep breaths, give yourself a couple minutes, and come back. And when you do that, you will think clearly again, because it may be hard to think strategically in that moment if you're stressed. So you need to go back, recenter yourself, be back at a more, normal, neutral emotion. Then you can start to think more clearly, make better decisions in your business to then, get back to success and momentum again as well.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, when you think strategically, and that's what you're saying here, the reality is that if you're not thinking far enough ahead, all right, what could happen, you end up in strife. Or if you're trying to, for want of a better word, do step number five before you do step number one, all right, another challenge. All right. And so thinking out strategically, what if, what's the pathways, yeses and nos, such great advice. And I think that's really a massive key that a lot of businesses miss. All right. They actually just miss it. So all right, so let's take that a little bit deeper. All right. So you've had this particular case study that you had there before. They went away, didn't think strategically, they've come back. Is there anything specifically you're seeing as a business coach and a mentor? I'm sure there's some things that are happening in our current modern day that's, other than just the actual planning part, but there's particular pieces of the puzzle of business that people are struggling with the most. What would you be seeing as maybe the two or three top, challenges that most businesses are facing these days?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think generally when you think about business owners, I want to grow my business, I want to make more money or things like that, right? Like generally that's what people say. And if you break that down further, it comes back to going, okay, do we have a good strategic plan? You were talking about planning before, and a good business model around how we're going to make money. If we're just selling something for $1, we're gonna have to sell a lot of things, right? For $1, compared to if it's at a better price point, right? To be able to do so. Understanding the business model and how we're charging things is important, that we've got a good business model foundation. Taking that into consideration, that we do have that, then it comes down to how are we then branding ourselves? Like how how is we being perceived, online as well as our emotion, but then what's the marketing and sales process? And I think this is where the challenge is for most people, because I think a lot of business owners love referrals. We all love referrals, right? It's a warm lead. The trust is already there. Your closing or conversion percentage is so high, right? Because it's come from someone. Kel's amazing. He does this. Yeah, let me connect you to Kel. Oh, yep. And then Kel gets a new client, right? So, a lot of people, it's almost like a false sense of security sometimes. The problem is you can't track that necessarily, because you could get 5 referrals in a month. They go, oh, it's an amazing month. Go, and then you can get none the next month. And this is where the challenge businesses have that I see is about how they're getting, what's their business model? Is it a once-off fee? Is it a recurring model? Obviously, a recurring model would be better for you. But even if it's a once-off fee, how can we create a marketing and sales system that can give us more clarity and confidence on getting a certain amount of leads in to then get into a certain amount of clients, even if they're colder and may take more to, it'll be a lower conversion percentage to client, at least you can do that. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that marketing, especially machine. So have the brand, at least some sort of brand, build a marketing machine where we're capturing the lead first. So are you getting their details? Number one, because just because they see your website, if you don't get their details, you can't really do much with that. So are we getting their details to some extent? And there's, I think with marketing, hear about like having it like a chair. You should have at least 4. Chair has 4 legs, right? So you should have at least 4, if not 5 or more methods of getting leads, right, into the business. Don't just, referrals can be one of those legs, but you should have others, right? Maybe you're doing webinars or seminars. Maybe you've got like lead magnets or some sort of thing that you can offer to people, right, that they want to do with you. Maybe there's other areas where there's calls or something like that that you can offer, or sessions. So there's a lot of different ways that you can offer things, as a marketing lead source. When you're capturing that lead, then you have to nurture that lead, because a lot of people go, oh yeah, but most people are saying no, whatever. Well, I think it's 3 to 10% of people ready to buy right now, right? So that means that you need to nurture that lead. Otherwise, it's, they might not be ready right now. So you nurture them over time, you build more trust. Some people are ready to buy now, a lot aren't. And then eventually they will buy from you. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, I think, with people where they never go back to them again after that first conversation. So there's a lot of, back end, I know you know about systems and things like that, Kel, that you can do to do this part, and then eventually get them to the point where if you're a service business, maybe having a conversation, or it's an event or something like that, or if it's a product going back to the website, to then, get that sale over the line. So I think that's the biggest thing, is getting that marketing and sales machine right. Because then technically, if you're really, take it to the next level, if you've got ads running, if you put $1,000 into ads and you're going to be making, $3,000 worth of sales, as an example, 3 to 1, you're like, well, great. I know that if I put that in, that will happen, right? For at least a decent period of time there. And then maybe have some other marketing methods. So then you can predict how much you're going to make in the business because you've created that process.
Absolutely. Yeah, it comes back to planning. As you said, I like that analogy of the four-legged chair. You don't sit on a one-legged chair. You'll fall over. And so having that multiple streams, yeah, that's a nice little nugget there. That's for sure. And I think, that leaves me. I'm gonna take just a little detour of a moment and just get a bit of an idea from yourself. AI, a lot of people are, we're human relationships, getting on a phone, having to talk to people, having a coffee, coming into my office. We've got very much into this digital space, and now AI is coming in. And a lot of people are installing chatbots. Just what's your feelings around how that's starting to dominate our marketing and sales channels?
Yeah, it's a big topic now, AI, and I'm learning a lot about it. And I think we have to be aware that it's growing fast, right? So we need to be using AI, because a lot of businesses that aren't going to use it soon are going to be behind, and you could potentially be out of business at some point, because you could make a person, for example, double as effective because AI is doing half of their work, which is fine, because that means they can do double the work because half of it's being done, in the amount of their time that they do. So obviously there's chatbots and other things. I think it's still at an early stage with AI, so they're probably not as good as they will be soon. However, 1 month in the AI world is very quick, right? 6 months is a long time. Like that, a lot can happen in 6 months in the AI world. So I think anything that you can have a lot of information on, this is what you need to be plugging into AI. Because one thing is having the chatbots, which is simple. Like you could upload, as a simple example, if you have a website with some FAQ, frequently asked questions, you could upload that right into an AI, and it could just, if someone's on the website or something like that, it could answer them very easily, which is great. But if you've got a lot more content, or recordings or transcripts or something on a particular subject, then you could upload that, create your own AI, and then you could, get a lot of data from that. And I think that's where it's heading now. I think the AI chatbot's great because you don't have to have people manning things. And then obviously if there's something that goes outside of that, then it can, put it forward to you. It could even book appointments for you, right? Like that. Now, if you're wanting to have calls with people, an AI can ask some questions and then send them a calendar link and get them to book an appointment with you. It could happen all automatically in the background. So these are some of the really cool things that I'm, in the process of implementing in there. And there is a lot. So all I would say is just aim to educate yourself, start early, because it's going to move quickly. And the earlier you get into AI, I think it's there. I think I've been seeing AI like phone conversations where you can clone your voice and everything like that, right? And clone like all this information of what you have. And now there's going to be, AI phone conversations. So if you call a phone for a business, it's going to be an AI person, right? Which is, people think, oh, that's crazy. But how many times have you called someone and they haven't answered, or it's gone to voicemail, like to the hold, and then you sort of hung up after a little while? At least every call is going to be answered now. And then maybe they can transfer them or do something after that to get a call back. So there's a lot of benefits to it. And don't be scared about, it's going to take jobs away, which it can to an extent. There's going to be a lot of stuff created there. So I think embrace it, get your team to embrace it. And, the business should skyrocket ideally, because there's a lot of easy tasks that we don't need to be doing. That it's just like when you implement a normal system like a CRM that can automate stuff. It's like the next level with AI, which can do much more than that. You have to implement it. And even if it's not the best right now, it will get good, very soon as well.
Yeah. And I think you're right there. It's not about replacing human beings. That's a fear. All right, and people are fearful of that. Embrace it, leverage it. Use it, and if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. That's basically what you're saying there. I think that's some really wise advice there. So, Athin, we're just going to wrap it up now. I'm going to ask you, mate, what is your one hot seat hot tip? Yeah, people are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, whatever it might be. What's something you can just offer them to help them to get over that and take a nice positive step forward?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a couple of things here. So number one, whenever this happens, I talked about the breathing before, and what I would say is box breathing is very good for this. And so for what people that don't understand what box breathing is, it's very simple. Just think of like a square, like a box. So if you're going around the top line, you would breathe in for, let's say, 4 seconds. Then you would hold it for 4 seconds as you go down the next side. And then as the third side, you would breathe out for 4 seconds. And then you would hold it for 4 seconds, right? And you do this many times, and it's been proven to reduce stress. So it's a very simple process to do. Now, that you can do anywhere, right? You can do it at your desk right now before you go into a meeting, as soon as you're stressed, just to recalibrate. I like to do this while I ground outside. So if you've got some grass or something like outside, if you're in an apartment, it might be a bit more challenging. But I go out there, take my shoes off and things like that. So I have my bare feet on the ground, and I do the breathing, and I find it really helps my body to rejuvenate at the same time as that. So that's like the next level if you want to super enhance it. But even just the box breathing on its own is amazing. And from a mindset perspective, I would say that everything is a reflection of other people. So if someone tells you, for example, that you can't do something, it's actually that they can't do it, right? It's a reflection of themselves. Successful people that are abundant will not tell you that you can't do something, right? It is the people that are not abundant and will just say that it's not there. So if something's not happening, whether, someone's telling you can't do something, maybe you try to have a sales call and you couldn't get it over the line or something like that, is be aware that maybe there's something in yourself that you need to enhance, that you need to maybe remove some resistance that's deep down within you. And this is where coaches and mentors are really powerful to be able, because it's hard to understand what's holding you back yourself. You sort of need somebody externally to ask the right questions to then change that, right? So I would say get that external person. But in the end, I use it as fuel. So many people, like I mentioned before, said that I couldn't do something, and I used it as fuel to prove them wrong. So if you have a bit of a mentality like that, and the other last thing that I'll say is that you'll never fail you will never fail because you always succeed. So basically, as long as you keep going, you will always succeed. There will be many failures. The biggest entrepreneurs in the world, you see the one good success that they do, they probably had thousands of failures before that. And this is why less than 2% of businesses last longer than 10 years, because most people quit too early, right? They get a few bumps in the road and go, it's too hard, I want to go back to a job, or they stay small in their business and they struggle. Instead of going, just keep going. What do I need to do? Change something, get external help, keep moving forward, upgrading my mindset, whatever it is, and believe that you'll find the way, however long that is, right? Whether it's in your own capacity, getting help from others, ideally at the same time. And I think as long as you keep going, you will always succeed in the end.
Mate, some absolute gold nuggets there. Thank you very much, Athin, for your time today. Some real hot seat, hot tips for sure. So thanks very much for coming along, bud.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Really appreciated having me on the show.
Cool. So that wraps up another episode of Hot Seat. You've heard it from the man, Athin, all about getting the plan done, making sure you get that box breathing. What a little gold little nugget that one is, and making sure that you keep on pressing forward. Until next time, that's all from Hot Seat. See you all again soon. Thanks for joining us here at Hot Seat. It's been an amazing, amazing event. It is a place where you can actually enjoy and be inspired by the why of others, the drive of the purpose and the passion. Please like and share this podcast with as many people as you can to inspire them to make a difference in this world. Have an awesome day. Unleash.